All right, we are live from back from our CFESA trip. So, how are you this week, Dee?
Terrific
It
Tuesday.
is Tuesday. So glad to see you back home and safely. It was like nice to also catch up with you over in Milwaukee for the CFESA Region 2. So, yeah, what a great packed meeting we
I
had.
know.
What are some of the field lessons or learnings that you took away from that session?
Yeah. And I think this is very important for us, not just professionally, but even personally. One of the topics that was discussed there was like how to be better communicators, right? And I believe that everyone, like each of us, has an opportunity to better communicate. One of the things that I picked up on would be reacting versus responding. Right. So
Right,
it's totally different. And sometimes when we do respond, we think that we respond, but we're actually reacting because there are like triggers or conditioning from our childhood that we may not be aware of. And it's our default response mode. So I remember Sarah Hagen Davis was like saying that the objective is to take back the reins of your stress response that impact how you communicate. Because sometimes it's just stress, and that's the default and how we communicate, right? And sometimes we become, we criticize, we're defensive, we stonewall, and sometimes we even feel like contempt for others, which is so
yeah,
wrong.
that's what she labeled as like the four horsemen, right? Of
Correct. Yes.
the wrong communication styles that and how people respond or react to it accordingly.
Correct. Yep. So one of the things that we need to remember is for us to be mindful, right? That we should pause and notice when we're reacting instead of responding. So one line that I remember there is that if you want to be a good communicator, you will have to find stillness within, right? Usa, right? You need to be able to just breathe, right? And sometimes we think that a lot of times we think that responding or communicating is all about the brain, but it's a lot about the body as well, right? She also
Right.
said that between what you know and what you feel, you will actually act on how you feel.
Well,
So
that's
that
great. Yep.
Yes, so that was really powerful for me. That your body, so you have to regulate your nervous system. So sometimes when you're anxious or you feel that you're stressed or you're in a hurry, you're in a meeting, right? And you're in a hurry and you're just going bam, 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 and then you're not mindful of the people, you're the people in the meeting as well, and that everybody is just feeding off each other's energy. So you should be mindful and just breathe, right? And one of the things that I learned as well is sometimes you just want to drive a point, but then again, if the person is not open, whatever you do, you won't be able to drive that point, right? Because they're not
Yeah.
receptive to it. So what you need to do is you need to be mindful and pause and also check on the other person and just, sometimes, and she was like giving tips as well, that what she does in her meetings is that, they pause and they go, why don't we take a breather? So sometimes they go and take a break, even just a 5-minute break just to walk it off or whatever. Then they come back and then resume the meeting.
Yeah, that's great, and that especially is applicable. Where I can see that applicable is because in an industry like commercial kitchen and the field service industry, it's a lot of moving parts, and it's stressful. And also in managing a lot of our younger technicians who are coming in and younger office staff, you need to know how to communicate accordingly and become essentially it's become just being constructive, objective, and being nice to people. That's essentially the kind of like the gist of that, which was a great discussion as far as her communication styles were concerned.
Yes.
Like one of the things that I was super excited about in the meeting, and it did not, it surely met to it. It did not disappoint. Was the automation and AI in commercial
Yes.
kitchen discussion? So our friend George Robert Smith, it's good to see you from MCFT. Hosted this or moderated it, and we had a powerhouse on the team representing sort of the manufacturing side of it. We had from Alto Sham We had Mike Jones. We had Jennifer Ward from Atosa, who was kind of also more centered around the software and the AI
Yes.
aspect. And Mike was also talking about the robotics aspect, and then we also had CFESA Vice President TJ Coker, who was there as well to kind of like also talk about how the service aspect, or how we could be able to service the robotics in the
The
kitchen and
execution part.
automation.
Correct.
So there's like several key aspects there. There was, of course, was AI, which is really gaining steam right now as far as popularity, and AI's applications not only in commercial kitchen directly, but also in the back office, which us here at Origo as well, as part of our tech-enabled services, we're working very closely in utilizing AI to
Correct.
help automate a lot of key tasks. So that was like really like something that was like super appealing to me, and it resonated with me. And then TJ was talking about how we can service robotics, and
Yes.
also because the Alto Sham facility, which we visited later on in the day, had a lot of those robotics, as well as part of, like, we saw it bending a lot of the things that
Instance of metals. Yeah.
just shows how it just helps the people, the workers, have an easier time, and work on other things that are require the skillful aspect rather than the repetitive, which is like an enduring story in robotics and automation.
That's
So
right.
yeah, a bunch of really exciting stuff. Like there's robotics in the kitchen that can fry the food for you, chop up the ingredients, just like what Jennifer mentioned, is that these are things that can be done repetitively. So with a machine and AI managing it, it can be much more calibrated.
Yes.
And PJ said that there shouldn't be any issue as far as servicing robotics in the workplace, because it has a bunch of the same mechanisms that the mechanical aspect is covered by it as well.
Yeah, that's right. And even from an AI perspective, I remember, since you mentioned, like, Oreo is also doing our own, AI, making sure
Yeah.
that the data. But what's really important is the data cleansing as well, because you have to make sure
Yes.
that your
Yep.
data is clean, else it's garbage in, garbage out, right? So
Correct.
that's something that you need to invest on as well, making sure that the information fed into the AI would be accurate. Yeah.
Yeah, and of course, there's a lot of things, just like what you said. A lot of things need to be sorted out. They were also talking about, IoT devices, right? The Internet of Things, with sensors in refrigerators that can
Yes.
help from everything from stocking the fridge to, knowing or determining what parts or diagnostics on
Yes.
your kitchen equipment need to be fixed. So yeah, there's a lot of things that need to be cleaned out as far as that, and sort of like organized, and taken care of, like a lot of the data privacy and protection, which was a
Who
major
owns the
concern that
data,
we heard
right?
from
Where
the
does
panel
this
as
data
well.
sit? Yeah, who can
Yeah,
access the data? Yeah, a lot of discussions around that. It was really, really interesting.
super was. And then one of the favorite questions I had that I took note here is, what will the kitchen of the future look like? TJ said it'll be much smaller in size, not as many pieces of equipment per kitchen, because you'll have machinery that can be able to do multi-purpose or multifunctional
Correct.
aspects. That's in the commercial kitchen. Like in my own residential kitchen, we've already seen combinations of air fryers and ovens put together, right? And you don't need multiple equipment cluttering your counter space,
That's
pretty
right.
much, right? So Mike talked about that IoT will be more significant in the kitchen of the future, as we mentioned. So a lot of value in the data, the operation, knowing the manufacturer. When you service, a technician can be able to see the diagnostic logs and what's changed, so it makes your kitchen up and running faster, because you have the capability to diagnose, maybe even remotely at first, and then already know what part to bring when you're
Correct.
dispatching to that. So that's phenomenal in the service industry. Jennifer talked about more automation in the kitchen. She sees that really accelerating fast, building upward to accommodate more kitchen to help manage the real estate costs, right? So
That's right.
the kitchens now are wide spaces. Hers thinks about going up. It matches what TJ said, which is smaller in size because restaurants will need to save on rising real estate costs. Of course, customer space seating is really
Yes.
what will drive in more revenue. Accordingly, from that aspect. Yeah, AI still isn't widely adopted in the commercial kitchen space. There's a lot of caution due to the data and wrong information, the lack of standardization that can cause more failures right now. But that's going to change, and we know that there are companies that are working to kind of like make sure that AI is something that will be applicable in the kitchen space as well.
Super exciting. That's
Yeah.
right. And then the third topic, I think, was more of the Pareto analysis, which um, to those of you who don't know us, we're pretty like geeks, Mitch and I as well.
Yeah.
So when the topic was like about Pareto analysis, we're like, oh, and we also do that in Origo, right?
Yeah,
So
that's right.
the 80/20 rule, right? So it was really exciting to also see that how it was applied as well in commercial kitchen space, right? Checking your data, and again, making sure that your data is also accurate, right? And instead of doing all of the checking on the percentage contribution, right? Just checking on the 20% of the percentage contribution would be able to yield you 80% of the results. So that's pretty
Yeah.
exciting as well. Yeah.
That's correct. Yeah, it was really applicable in almost everything, right? From life to
Exactly.
to the commercial kitchen space to manufacturing and everything is essentially while it's not perfectly an 80% causing your pain, but most of the time the principle is that there is a underlying root cause that essentially gets to why that are related to a major pain point. And when you
Yeah.
get to that root cause, it really fixes a lot of the things that were diagnosed. And so yeah, that's really the takeaway from that. And it's really that tough part is that diagnostic aspect, right? Like that root cause analysis, how to
Correct.
dive deeper, drill down every step of the way, and kind of like understand what's causing
By
that
synthesizing
pain
data.
point. So
Correct.
that once you get over that, it has its a lot of rewards. And so I mean, for a lot of commercial kitchen companies out there who are watching and who have seen that 80/20 presentation as well, that was presented by Joe, it was like if it was an aha moment for you, but you don't know where to start, feel free to contact Dee and myself, and
Correct.
we'll be happy to walk you through that. Because at Origo, that's essentially one of the things that the tenets that we thrive on. What our CEO Yassine talks about is like the kata methodology, the PDCA, which is kind of like the problem solving. Everybody has their fair share of flagging and um, giving what problems are out there that need to be resolved, and the capability to put them together and find common trends is where you really need that power to determine what the 80/20 is. So I think that was like what you said, we were nerding out over that whole 80/20 discussion. And essentially that was like, yeah, that's something that we do for sure.
Yep. And we can help you out. Like Mitch mentioned, we can help you out. If you don't have any idea how to go about it, just message us. And the geeks that we are will be more than happy to help you guys. It's all about helping each other.
Absolutely, yeah. And then pretty much, yeah, that wrapped up the meeting. They decided on where the next meeting would be, and I think there's a bunch of volunteers actually who
I
volunteered. But I
know. And
think
they were
it's
like,
going to be
yeah.
in Bardstown in Addison, Illinois, just like it was last year. So that's going to be fun. But that wasn't where it ended. We ended up on a cool tour of the
That's
Alto Sham factory.
sure.
So
Yeah.
what did you think about that tour?
I think so. There's a lot of misconceptions when we talk about facilities and factories, right? But
Yeah.
Altosham was really clean. I feel that you can even eat off of the floor, right? It was super clean, super organized, and it was super also cool to see the robotics as well. Like what you mentioned, right? We actually saw some robots, like um, doing the metals, right? Instead of people doing that. And as you mentioned, like
Yeah.
the human beings will be, or the people would be more focused on more complicated tasks than that. So it was really, really cool. And thank you so much, Altusham, for opening up your facility for us.
Yeah, that was just phenomenal. And one of the things that really struck me there was like how they had that same concentration and focus on the Lean Six Sigma
Correct.
Kaizen
The discipline.
methodology. Like
Yes.
the Gemba walk was something that they really extolled. And here in the service industry has really like back office or shared services. We've really emulated how manufacturing has mastered all of this streamlining and process flow. So what really struck out to me was like kind of like how every station would have their statistics, who have what's critical to them, and they were focused on safety, quality, and the productivity or the cost aspect, which I know it was one of the things that you really liked there, D. So talk to
Yes.
me more about you
Yes.
shared some thoughts to me on the factory floor about how conscious they are, how everybody knew what
Yeah.
their cost was.
Yeah, and yeah, so to me it's more of, sometimes when you're just part of a team, right? And you're just focused on your task and
Yeah,
your task on hand and what you have to do. But to your point, which was one of the insights that I gained from that Gemba walk that we did as well, is that for each station they actually had a wall, and you mentioned they have that, right? But they also have that portion for the cost. So with the tasks that you're doing, what your contribution is to financials, which is, I think, it's really impacting, because
yeah,
sometimes we feel that we're just part of the number, we're just here to work and all that, but you seeing that, oh, I have actually a contribution to that, right? It's very
yeah,
powerful, it's very powerful. So that was
indeed.
really cool for me to see.
Yeah, that is super powerful stuff. And then one other thing also there was like that also resonated with me was kind of like they were constantly finding ways to improve, right? So initially she was talking about how you would graduate to be a skilled level one person who would do like like do everything, right? And then when they had that kind of training program, they were able to produce like I think it was 16 units per day. But
Yes.
when they broke it down, and then it's like nothing new, because like that's how Henry Ford started the sort of like the assembly line when he rolled out Model Ts. But breaking it down and finding that sustainable way, that checking the quality on each station, broke it down, and multiple people doing the tasks that one level one person would customize and do before, really accelerated the number of output to 22 units per day
Correct.
instead of the 16. So that was like just really phenomenal. And again, like in this, like us, right, we do manage shared services. We help and support the back office, and there's a lot of key learning aspects there. For example, if you have a staff accountant for some of our commercial kitchen and field service companies, that is doing everything from AP, accounts payable, accounts receivable, portal administration, that can get very daunting, and it sucks a lot of time fast, and then you need to work on your bookkeeping and all of that. So breaking down those roles into something that is more sustainable, especially as you're gaining more business. You need to be able to bill properly and upload it into invoices. That's finding that sort of like assembly line,
Set up.
chop it up into more
Yes.
effective bite-sized pieces, is essentially something that we can help with as well if you don't know where to start off with that. So that's why kind of like takeaway, we're like, yeah, for they do that in manufacturing, in the service industry, that's also something very similar that we can accomplish and accommodate for you accordingly. And then there's also a lot of the physical process improvement, right, where they moved particular stations related to a kind of workflow closer, so that there's less distance covered, and bringing the parts to the line rather than having the person retrieve it and then come back,
Exactly.
also produced a lot of efficiency gains, which is like very similar to those swim lanes and process flows that are mapped out. And again, for the businesses out there, if you don't have your processes mapped out, it's a good time to start. If you don't know where to start with it, again, we're happy to help you with it, and help you scope out that order to cash kind of flow accordingly. We'll get on a call with you, we're happy to help the industry, and we'll do it with no strings attached, without any, hard sell to into it, but just to really help you improve
Yep.
both your efficiency and your revenue gains. So that's the key takeaway and call to action that I just wanted to bring out there to the industry and to the group. So any other thoughts that cross your mind, Dee?
That's it. You've actually summarized it all, and just
So
last
for
words. We're
you.
here to partner with you, like Mitch said. We're here to partner with you, no strings attached. We just love data and helping people. So
Yeah,
just message
absolutely.
us.
Awesome. Well, great. It was really great seeing you guys, and I hope to talk to you all soon. Have a great and fantastic week ahead.
Bye, guys.
Bye.